like what are some of the main things that you see families bring to you when it comes to the stressors of not having their estate or even their will or even their trust like set up for their family to be successful? Like what are some of those testimonies that you've heard from your clients when it comes to those stressors that they may have?
Yeah, I mean, the stress, we don't even have to highlight it. People have experienced that stuff in their lives already. And it's always in the back of everybody's mind anyway. Let's just take a couple examples, right? Let's say you are a young family that has a new child, and you are man, wife, wife, husband, wife, new child born. It's already in the back of any man's mind or any mom's mind. What if something happens, right? So, or you might be, might be an adult child of aging parents. You're in the back of your mind, okay, do they have long-term health care? Do they, when is it, what is the day that I'm going to have to start taking care of them more and spending less time on my life or spending more time on their care, right? Or is it when you're single and you're working or entrepreneur, you're working towards a goal, and you want to leave a legacy behind, it's always in the back of everybody's mind, but we just never seek out the tools to actually plan the legacy. We live the life, but we never plan for the legacy. And so we always say your life will be as your legacy. The legacy will be will be the same as the life that you lived, right? If you never take time out to plan for the future, and God forbid you pass away, the legacy is going to be in chaos because now somebody else coming in trying to figure out everything that you wanted to do or wanted to happen with your stuff, or worst case scenario, the state probate court would decide for you. So these things, we have to be intentional about it because everybody's going to pass away, everybody's going to die, and we just have that clock into us internally. We know that, right? But we're not planning for it, and you're not planning for your family members passing away. You're not planning for the actual. It's really a real thing that we're going to die, and we don't know when. So if you don't plan for that, whenever that day comes, because we know not the day nor the hour, your family will not be prepared for it. So the stresses alone really just is on an everyday basis, because we see clients all the time that come in and actually go through the consultation. They feel so much better because they now have a way to see forward through everything, with their estate plan. So we know the stresses are always there. We're just not doing anything, as a whole community, in mass, we're not doing a lot to actually plan for those things or have those conversations with professionals, right? I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so just in connection with what Ishmael just said, when we're talking to any potential client or our clients as we're going through the process, we understand it's a delicate dance. We both lost a parent, and so we know, like you said, death is sure, right? But that we've gone through the process personally, right? And so we know it's a delicate dance. Nobody likes talking about their death. It's not always an easy conversation. And so the way we approach it with our clients, we make them feel comfortable. And that's the difference between our firm and a lot of law firms. It's not transactional at all. It's very personable. It's very friendly. It's very like family. And so we make the conversation easy. And that's always the goal, because it is not the easiest conversation to have. But when you feel like you're talking to a friend, you can let your guard down, and you trust that we're going to do, the right thing for you and make sure you and your family reach your goals. It becomes more of a conversation, unless I'm spitting, legal jargon at you. That'll push a lot of people away. They actually want to feel heard and seen, because it is like I said, it is a delicate conversation, and we make sure that when we're having that conversation with any potential client, that they feel very comfortable and at ease. And like you said, can see the pathway through based on the strategies we talk about, based on just, talking about their family dynamics, what their assets are, and just giving them some, strategies, do this, do that. This is what we will recommend. They feel a lot less stress. They feel more comfortable, and they are ready to move forward after having that consultation call.
Yeah, and I add to that. So most families, the life is stressful enough. So you have, you have 1,000 things coming, bits of information coming to you from all types of places, right? So you have your job or your career or your business. You have your insurance that you probably paid for. You probably have an investment account, 401k. You're running a business, or you're trying to climb the corporate ladder. You're raising children. You have school events if you got children, and you have probably aging adults that you have to look after. So life is hard enough already. You're busy enough. Now, once you come into a meeting with us, the beautiful thing about estate planning, we get to pull all those things into one area, right? And we can discuss those things on a quarterly basis. And we can put headlights on those things as well moving forward. Meaning, okay, if your parents are 60 years old now, in 10 years, they'll be 70. At that point in time, they might have some health challenges. So we want to make sure we're planning for that. If you have a 10-year-old now, 8 years from now, that child will either be going to college, army, or some kind of other career or vocation they'll be going into. So 8 years from now, we need to be planning for that, right? If you're close to retirement age yourself from your career, we need to start planning for that as well. And so now we get to bring the life, your family life, and we call ourselves generational wealth strategists, is because we're going to give the family's going to give us a strategy for them to actually achieve. And so now the family has a strategy, and we're just literally using tools and implementing and executing based on what the family strategy is. And so now the whole family knows what the strategy is. And you also have time stamps for things that could occur in 2033, 2043, 2053, and so on and so forth. So now you have a team around you and your family goals. It's not so stressful anymore, right? Obviously, we're going to take care of the inevitable. Somebody passes away. We got to plan for that. That's point blank period. That's kind of like the legacy planning, right? But the life planning is really more important, because the way you live your life is the way your legacy will be. And so if your life is organized in a way around your estate plan or whatever family strategies that you have, your legacy will follow suit. So it's really, people look at estate planning as a backward looking or end of life type of thing. It's really not. It's really a day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year, actually forecasting and problem solving for the future issues that you might have, because we all have done life before, right? We know, hey, if you got a little girl, she goes to public school, 17, 18 years old, she's going to the prom most likely, right? After that, she's going to college. And so you already know what these issues are going to be, or what these needs are, the needs that you're going to have. We just kind of plan for them, and the fact that we can plan for them through the estate plan, the whole family is involved at that point in time.
Yeah, that's some major jewels, like you all are both saying, to get the whole family involved versus just having one family member or the other. Y'all are dropping a ton of jewels on the importance of bringing the whole unit together so that everyone is on the same page. And that's what I was going to ask as the next question. But Wisdom and Twitter, if y'all have any questions for, again, Ishmael or India, feel free to come on to the stage and ask during our live Q&A. But I was even gonna mention, when it comes to the aging parents, like I think I mentioned this to you, India, when we were talking after y'all's workshop, was like, why do you think so many parents, as they start to age, that they may not want to allow their children to come into the fold of, like, letting them know about what assets they have, letting them know if they do have a will, even being more upfront, as y'all both were alluding to, the long-term care or the long-term plan of their health, of who is going to be the head of the estate and things of that nature. Like, why do you think certain parents want to hold all of that information when they have their children that are wanting to learn, they're wanting to know these things, but they're just not wanting to release that information? And like, what advice would y'all give to those millennials like us or Gen Zers that may be wanting to push those conversations, but are being stiff-armed with resistance from your aging parents?
I think it's a combination of a few things. I think there's could be feelings of shame, right? Maybe they don't have their stuff together and they don't want to share that. Maybe feelings of, shame and guilt of not having their stuff together. Ego, right? And then a lot of our parents, they're just stubborn. It's just outright stubborn, right? They're not ready to let go, or they don't want to think about their death. So I just think it's a combination of those things, and it is a difficult conversation to have with parents who do not want to discuss it. But I would encourage anybody that wants to have that conversation, and you're doing it because at some point, if nature takes its course, your parents will predecease you. You want to make sure that, hey, it's not chaotic when it happens. You want to make sure things are in order, and you're really trying to do it to help them and help the family. I think approaching it with love is important, and kind of flipping the script. I mean, because essentially when you do estate planning, you're doing it because you love your family. You're doing it because you want them to not, have the drama or the trauma. You want it to be as smooth process as possible. Of course, you're going to be grieving and all those other things. Why would you have a chaotic situation with the lack of a estate plan on top of all of that? And so I think it's just a matter of sitting them down, trying to have that conversation, with love, and explaining why you're asking these questions, instead of coming at it combative. There are a lot of parents, when they hear this conversation, they think you're trying to kill them off. And so it's like, they don't want to have that conversation. But I think just approaching it with love. And I think at some point, hopefully the parents will be, come around to having that conversation. But I think you have to have it. You have to have the conversation. And if they just never, want to have it, you want to make sure that you have your stuff in order. And anybody else around you has their stuff in order. And did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so it's a couple of ways we can approach that with parents, or your aging parents, right? Usually I go with the grandchildren. Hey, mom, do you want to leave anything? Do you want to leave anything for your grandchildren? Do you want to make sure they go to Harvard, or they want to go to Howard, or they want to go to Morehouse? And so most grandparents will be like, oh yeah, I want my baby to go to. Okay, that's how you start the estate planning conversation. Okay, so you got to get an insurance policy. Do you have